Unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time. So happy birthday to me. It was my birthday yesterday, and I got a few phone calls. Wait, no, I didn't get any phone calls. No actual phone calls. I made a phone call that wasn't answered, but I got a lot of text messages and I got a lot of automated Facebook happy birthdays from people. You know, they all said the same thing. Happy birthday, exclamation point, with kissy face, cake, and champagne or something. You know, the emoticons were all in the right way. So Facebook actually wrote the message for the people, and all they had to do is probably click one thing, which is fine. I mean, the sentiment, it counts. And, you know, there was a lot of birthday wishes from people who I are almost positive hate my guts. So there's kind of some passive aggressive happy birthday messages in there too. I got one person, you know, and I went through and it used to be back in the day when I was kind of B-list, well-known around here, that, you know, there'd be like 500, 600 people doing that automated thing. And there'd be a lot more personal. People would write them because, you know, if people think that you have access, you know, they want access so they can have that access too. So they're a lot more friendly to you when they think that you have something for them, that you have something to offer, which is fine. I'm not complaining about that at all. But, I'm getting older too. I don't maintain friendships. I don't repost party invites, blah, 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 blah. You know, the whole thing. But, so I was just going through, and even back then I thought, well, if somebody's going to take the time to wish me a happy birthday, I'm going to do a physical reciprocation, you know, at least a like. And so I did that, and I did even better. I went, instead of a like, I held my goddamn finger down, and I went for the love button. Whew, boy, was that exhausting. But I did that for everybody. And for the people that obviously wrote their own note, you know, I wrote my own note back, you know. And I could tell because they didn't have the exact same format. You can look at them. You know, the same emoticons is the giveaway. You can imagine a lot of people would actually write out happy birthday with an exclamation point. And you could actually imagine a lot of people might do that. I like the really low effort ones, though, the ones that just go HBD, no exclamation point. Just like, oh, okay, well, I mean, it is something, right? And it probably took the person that wrote HBD with no punctuation more time than the person that just copy pasted or just clicked the thing that Facebook pre-wrote for them, you know. But anyway, one person wrote happy birthday with no punctuation, and I kind of liked that one. That was a very deadpan sort of emotions. Happy birthday. Almost a cry for help. I almost wanted to send a direct message and go, is everything okay over there? But so anyway, yeah, it was fine. And I posted this video of a song that I wrote a long time ago, and then with AI, I had Patsy Cline sing it because I wrote it to be a Patsy Cline song, you know. I thought, what would it sound like if I wrote a Patsy Cline song? Because Crazy, it was written by Willie Nelson, and he does a pretty good job of it, but it's Patsy Cline's song. Crazy, crazy for feeling so lonely. You can't not like that song. It's one of the best songs ever written. That, along with Somewhere Over the Rainbow, those are two songs to me that anytime I write a song and I think it's pretty good, I go, but is it as good as Crazy or Somewhere Over the Rainbow? And almost always the answer is not quite. But anyway, that Weirdo song was fun to write because it seemed like something that Patsy Cline would think but never say. So I thought, what would I get Patsy Cline to sing if I could pull her out of the grave? And I wrote that song, and I thought it turned out amazingly. I couldn't be happier with the way AI followed my directions and gave me what I wanted, you know. But last year, I did this last year, right when those tools became available, and then I made a quick video for it to kind of flip it on its head, where it was an ugly winner of the ugliest dog contest, thinking that the beautiful dogs were weirdos, a little flip. Made a video for it, and I never really posted it because although I really like the song, I suspected because of the old-fashioned production, and I just don't run into a lot of Patsy Cline fans anyway. It's like me and my friend Kevin growing up, we discovered Patsy Cline and a lot of other these groups because we would drive our old. He had a '58 Chevy, I had a '58 Chevy, and we would drive around the back roads of Utah, just looking for old shit, just exploring. And in part of that exploring, we would go to gas stations and just buy cassette tapes from these gas stations, thinking we were just kind of clowning on old music, like, oh, let's buy this stupid old country cassette. And we discovered that there some amazing shit in there. And Patsy Cline was one of those discoveries. I probably would have never discovered Patsy Cline were it not for just jokingly picking up a Patsy Cline cassette for 99 cents at a gas station, But anyway, and kind of as expected, there's a couple of things that I suspect because, some of the songs that I've posted get really big traction, and then others just kind of get, oh, that's cool. And, most of the comments on the thing were, happy birthday, not much comment on the song. And who knows how many, you don't know, that maybe somebody saw it, but you don't know that they listened to it because when people were scrolling Facebook, I think half the time most people are at work, and they can't sit there and listen to a video unless they have their headphones in. And I doubt a lot of people have their headphones in at work because what if their boss walks by their desk? Anyway, but that kind of falls short too because I don't know. It's hard to say. But in other words, the song wasn't super well received. It wasn't poorly received. It's just that, people just didn't give a shit. And that's fine. I kind of figured as much, and that's why I didn't post it last year when I made it. Even though I really like it, I kind of suspected it wouldn't be, a flavor that most people would give a shit about. And one thing's for sure is like, I try not to care what people think about things. But when I post things online, I find myself checking, how many people liked it? How many people liked it? It's so embarrassing, honestly, the impulse to to see what strangers think about something you made that you like, That's the other part that's sickening, is that if you like something, why would you want to put it out there to be shit on by a bunch of people who you don't know, only to question yourself like, do I like stuff that nobody else likes? What's wrong with me? Anyway, all of this yesterday had me thinking about, the whole idea, the whole interaction of social media. Social media, it's social. I'm like, what do you mean it's social? Facebook also recently forced me to change my page from a regular page to a business page. And if I didn't change it into a business page, I would lose the followers. I'd keep my friends, but I'd lose the followers, And I'm like, followers. Who's following me? And why? I know why. I know why they started following me. I was taking naked pictures of people and getting into trouble, and carrying on like an idiot, wearing a clown outfit, looking like an oil tycoon, running around with a bunch of half-naked ladies on my arm. I know exactly why they followed me, Still weird. It's still weird. It's still weird that we follow anyone online. We don't know them. We'll never meet them. or you might meet them, but what are the chances you're going to become good friends with them? You only have so much time. No matter how famous you are, no matter how many friends you think you have, you only have a couple real ones. I mean, I wrote a song called 5 True Friends is 3 Too Many. And honestly, I think it might be 4 too many. Because one true friend is still a lot. It's a lot. Having one true friend, that's a lot of friends, But yeah, it just got me thinking, the difference between me now and me 20 years ago is just, I feel like I'm the same person inside, but with social media, obviously I'm older, but social media has really kind of brought to the forefront of why I never really felt to be part of the group anyway. I never really liked group activities. I was never really a team player, even in sports. I wasn't a super great athlete by any means, but where I did excel is that I would piss off my own team and the other team by doing interesting individual things. Like I was good at stealing the ball. In basketball, I was good at seeing the pattern of where I thought the ball was going to go, allow people to underestimate me, and get there by surprise, and never really get any credit for it. Always looking like, oh, he got lucky, and kind of writing that. Even at the time, I knew that was being underestimated was a good thing. And that in flag football kind of helped me too, where I could intercept the ball. Because all I had to do is just be sort of invisible, be underestimated, not be a threat, but then just get to that ball first, anticipate where it was going to go, and just calculate and get there at the same time. And it's interesting too, because it feels like a lot of this is just angulars, It's triangulation, Here's where it is, here's where I am, here's where I need to go. I was also good at marbles because triangulation, that's where that is. This is where I can ricochet it. I was also good at pool, I don't know. I'm talking out my ass right now. But the point is it was always an individual thing. Bowling is individual. Billiards, stealing the ball, individual. And I've been pushing individualism pretty much my whole life. Even the stupid ways that I dress, always just standing out and for whatever reason, declaring I'm not part of the group. And it's hard to know which came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing. Did I isolate myself, or was I isolated to begin with? You know what I mean? I don't remember deciding I'm going to be an individualist. I just always felt that way. I always just felt like I didn't belong to the group, Even in my own family, I felt that way, still feel this way. And my life is kind of a story of that. So I'm not quite so sure which came first. Was I born to be an individual? The way I've rationalized it throughout my life and the way I've thought about it is just like, well, of course, every single person is an individual. You can't deny that. We're not connected to each other. You might want to say there's great poetic ways to do it. And of course, you could probably get in there and get some spooky crystal shit and go, okay, well, we're all connected on this under level. If you do some mushrooms, you'll see the connections, the vibes, and blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. But practically speaking, we each exist as self-contained units, Despite the need for love, despite the need for everything else, we are individuals, and our value comes from that. Culture has always bothered me. I've always been very bothered by people taking credit for the hard work of others. You know, when people go, I'm proud of myself because I'm a Mexican and Mexicans made burritos. Well, did you invent the burrito? I don't think you did. I don't think you invented nachos either, because they were invented by a guy named Ignacio Anaya in a little town just about 3 miles south of the Texas border. You know? So I give credit to him. And culture has always just been this whole thing of people taking credit for other people's shit. This is my flag. Really? Did you make it? No, you didn't. This is my, no, I'm sorry. I just never felt that way. Even the Pledge of Allegiance, I never felt like I was super patriotic. I felt moments of patriotism. I still kind of do. I'm not totally tuned out of that kind of thing. But I've always just felt like a phony. It feels like a phony to take pride for your heritage, your race, your nationality, anything that I didn't control. If I didn't control something, I feel pretty goddamn stupid pretending like I had something to do with it, or having any pride or shame about it. I feel uncomfortable when people say we, when they're talking about the United States, or when they're talking about white people, or when they're talking about Canadians, or when it's like, what do you mean we? What are you fucking talking about? You don't speak for me. Within whatever group you're trying to classify, I'm sure there's plenty of disagreements, So what do you mean we? Shut the fuck up with your we. I opt out of your we. But so I've been fighting for individualism. I even called it radical individualism for the last 25 years. But I realized kind of like a while back, and I was thinking about this yesterday, going through, the birthday wishes of people that were copy pasting and just hitting a button that says, that's good enough for me. That's the message. I'm going to hit happy birthday. I'm going to get credit for wishing somebody birthday. And maybe I'm making that person feel good by doing it. It's very low effort, just click. But there's this exchange. It's a transaction. The person did it. It's very, very low effort. And it became very obvious of who was just doing the bare minimum, taking advantage of Zuckerberg's idea. Hey, let's get people to easily wish. None of those people. I would venture to say that maybe I would say that there's probably 4 people, and this isn't a complaint, by the way. I would say that out of the people that wished me happy birthday yesterday, probably 4 of them would have done it, and I'm being generous. 4 of them would have done it had there been no technology to remind them. No phone that said, hey, it's Merkley's birthday today, And I suspect, and again, not a complaint, I suspect that it may have come and gone with nobody knowing it was my birthday if I didn't tell them. I'm not trying to make a sad story here about an old man that turned 58. Nobody cares. I'm just saying that that's reality. I have receded from life, public life, to such a degree intentionally, and decided to surround myself with animals and plants and critters to such a degree that had there not been a Facebook or social media or calendars, automated calendars, I would have been surprised to have anybody call me, other than maybe my sister and a brother, But even then, the likelihood is low if they didn't have the reminder. Because who goes around thinking, what day is it today? Oh, I know what day it is today. It's, it's just the likelihood is very, very low. Anyway, I'm taking a long time to get to the word that I wanted to bring up today, which is exceptionalism. I realize that I'm not really an individualist. I mean, I am technically, because I think if you don't value the individual and if you don't have a perspective about the world that everybody is an individual, the miracle of individual consciousness is paramount. You know, if you're going to have a public policy, it has to be about the individual, you know? And that's what I've been pushing for a long time. But I think I might be wrong. I think I might be a little bit wrong. Because the truth is I don't really value individuals. Conceptually, I do. But who I value are exceptional individuals. You know? I value the ones that stand out, the ones that stick out, the ones that separate themselves. I value Ignacio Anaya. There are, how many millions have Mexicans have been born and died and that didn't invent nachos? Why would I ever pretend that, you know what I mean? I value exceptional individuals. Individualism, by the way, is kind of, it feels like it's dying more and more. You know, I do see people becoming more and more tribal. The more I realize that this concept of individualism might not be entirely as unique to my own thinking as I would have liked to have thought, you know. I'm not a big reader of books. You know, I feel like the practice is sort of diabolical. It feels like weird self-hypnosis. It seems strange. You know, when you see people staring at a phone instead of enjoying the world. Well, I've always felt that way. I felt that way about people staring at a book or a newspaper. So that's not a new thing, but it seems like more people are doing it. Remember, back in the day, you didn't walk into a train and see everybody staring at a book. I know that there's images like that of people reading a newspaper, everybody on the train doing that, but I feel like with the phone, you got it more and more. You know, more and more people are just putting aside their own thinking and their own time to formulate thoughts, and they're just absorbing somebody else's thoughts through media, through a book, through whatever. But anyway, I didn't feel like I was like that growing up. I felt like my thinking was more individualized. Like, I think for myself. I got my own ways of thinking, and I avoided the rat race, so to speak. The last job I had, I was forced out of in 1991. In 1991, that was the last time I was employed. So I've lived a very individualist lifestyle. But I just have to say that where I think I was wrong in promoting individualism is that I was wrong in that I applied it to every single person. You know, that I mistakenly applied the concept to other people as if that thought or that idea and the feeling would be reciprocated somehow. Like other people also would find value in individualism. You know, if only things could be designed the way I feel, then other people would notice their value as a human, as an individual. And if only they knew the rules, if they understood how valuable the individual is, then, you know, people would respect each other. But now I realize that I think most people have no concept of individualism. They just don't, or they don't want it. Maybe they have it, but they don't want it. They don't want responsibility for being an individual. Like, I feel like a lot of people that clicked, happy birthday without writing something special are just the ones that said, this is the message that Facebook gave me. This is the one I'm going to send through. This is the approved message. This is the approved pattern. I won't have to think of anything. These are the approved 3 emoticons: kissy face, stars, and champagne bottle. I think that's what they were. I can't remember. But those will just go through, and I'll get the minimum credit. My job will be done. I won't stand out. No fuss, no muss. Done. And I think that's how most people are. I think that's just how most people are. I've said it a number of times that I think most people's sense of guidance is their peripheral vision to sense the movement of the herd. Which way's the herd going? Which way's the herd going? I saw this little meme yesterday of 2 flocks of penguins running into each other, and then they're going the opposite directions, and then a couple pigeons as they intermingled, and then a couple pigeons started going with the wrong flock, and then they went, oh shit, mine went that way. And I thought, because I was thinking about this yesterday. I was thinking those 2 penguins might be an example of they almost, they were still using their peripheral vision, but at least they recognized they were in the wrong herd for a second, and got back with their own herd. But I didn't watch the video closer. I think there might be a couple of those fucking penguins that just stayed with the new flock. They got mingled in, and they were like, once they got 25 steps away, they were like, oh shit, I'm in this new herd. I'm going to pretend like I've been here the whole time. The George Costanza thing, I didn't quit. Yeah, exceptionalism. I'm going to change my tune a little bit. I know that exceptionalism is thought of differently by different people. I feel like the normie way of thinking of exceptionalism is like saying the rules for thee and not for me. And I'm not taking that bent, but I'm also not taking it because there is some honesty in there. It's, for years I've tried to hold the screws to people to get them to get them to be intellectually consistent. Like somebody says they're a conservative, but yet they're living in a rent control place and they don't want to discuss rent control because they'd be taking away some kind of advantage, So I'll turn the screws to get intellectual consistency out of people. And the older I get, the more I realize I don't want that. I don't even care. Like that whole conformity to this rule, or you have to be intellectually rigorous and you need to know and everything needs to match. It's just like, you know what? No. Because for me, somebody can have politics that I hate, but if they're funny, I'll deal with them, That's how I pick my friends. I've been wrong for many years. I've saying I pick them on an individual basis. But really, that's not the word that applies. Because all the people I don't like are all individuals. Every single person that I despise is an individual. But the people I love are exceptions. They're exceptional. They are the prize. I've been saying this for, it's been staring me in the face this whole time. I've been this way the whole time. It wasn't until just recently where it dawned on me, I'm just describing my outlook the wrong way. And I think the reason why I was describing it that way is because probably I thought that individualism was more of an appealing word. And if I use a more appealing word, you get better credit, from people. It's more likely to hold. But if you just come out and say, oh, no, I'm a snob. I'm a snob. I've written about this over and over again. So the concept, like I wrote a song called "Love Lives Not on Lips, It Lives in Eyes," and it's all about love not being this infinite resource, but instead a valuable resource, a very finite, rare resource. You know, for years I've been saying this, I love everyone. Bullshit. If you say that, you don't love anyone. Because you can't love everybody equally. You know, you love people because they're not like everybody else, because they're special, because they're unique, because they're different, and they love you back maybe. Maybe they don't even love you back. But it's rare. Love is this precious, super precious, rare thing that if you find it, you've got to hold on to it. You know, these people that cheapen love, you know, I love everybody unconditionally. Bullshit. First of all, you're a fucking liar. You have conditions to your love. If somebody mistreats you or farts in your face daily and calls you names, you don't love them. There are conditions to your love, my friend. Yeah, so exceptionalism, that's what it is. That's what I am. That's what I noticed yesterday. I was like, oh, here's 80 comments that were just copy paste, click one button, and then here's some that are exceptions. And the exceptions were the people that I expected to be exceptions because they're the people that I love. You know? And the people that I love are exceptional. You might be exceptional to somebody. You have exceptional people in your life too. This is so gay. Trying to talk to a fucking square recorder and an imagined person that's listening, and I'm trying to give them a message of hope. It's so fucking weird, man. Social media is weird. It is weird, but pretty amazing too. Anyway, thanks for listening. Unnecessary outro song to